With the recent Tinder swindler documentary going somewhat viral, I thought I'd do some digging and find a case involving Tinder. As some of you may know, there have been a number of cases involving Tinder, with the story of Grace Millane possibly being the most famous. I've managed to find a more recent case that seems to be lesser known. This case takes place in the USA. On the 24th of May 2020 at 3:20 AM, the police in Layton, Utah received a phone call from a 24-year-old man. This man explained that he had just stabbed a woman inside his house and told the operator that he needed the police to come over as soon as possible, and when they do, they should shoot and kill him. The police were quickly dispatched and arrived at the scene. They entered the bedroom of the man's house and were met with a truly horrendous sight. They found a young woman laying on the bedroom floor in a pool of blood with multiple stab wounds all over her body. The woman's name was Ashlyn Black. Ashlyn was 25 years old and was a carer for children with special needs. For the past couple of days, Ashlyn had been using the dating app Tinder, and she had swiped right on the very same man that would call the police. This man's name was Ethan Hunsaker. The two had matched on the app and had exchanged a number of messages back and forth. On the 23rd of May, the two decided to meet in real life for a date. Ethan drove over to Ashlyn's home and picked her up. They drove to a nearby bar and there they conversed and had a couple of drinks. By all accounts, the two of them were getting along well, and so Ethan asked Ashlyn if she would like to come back to his place to continue the date, and she agreed. They entered Ethan's home and went to the bedroom. The two were intimate, and after, they fell asleep. At around 3 AM, Ethan woke up and Ashlyn was laying on her side fast asleep with her neck under his arm. Ethan had intended for Ashlyn to come home with him that night, and for a very sinister reason. As she lay on his arm, Ethan pulled Ashlyn towards him in a chokehold position and tightened his grip. He choked her as hard as he could. Ashlyn woke up, panicked, and tried her best to fight back against him. She hit him in the neck, arms, anywhere that she could reach. After choking Ashlyn for over a minute, Ethan ran into the kitchen to grab his 4-inch pocket knife. He returned to the bedroom, got on top of Ashlyn, and viciously stabbed her in the chest, ribs, and back. After he was done, Ethan got up, stood back, and watched Ashlyn slowly bleed out in front of him for over 10 minutes. When he was sure she was dead, he called the police and told them to come to his address and shoot him. The police and ambulance arrived at the scene and discovered Ashlyn laid on the bedroom floor in a pool of blood. The paramedics tried their best to save her, but unfortunately, Ashlyn was pronounced dead at the scene. At the scene, Ethan pleaded with the officers to shoot him there and then. They of course didn't, and he was swiftly arrested. At the station, they asked Ethan what had happened and why he had done what he did. He explained to the police that he had met Ashlyn on Tinder the night before, and they decided to go on a date together that night. He told them that after the date, Ashlyn came back to his apartment, they slept together, and when he woke up, he choked and stabbed her 10 times and then watched her die, making the chilling admission that he had actually planned this. He invited Ashlyn back to his house for the sole purpose of killing her. He said that the date had gone well, no arguments had occurred, and Ashlyn had done absolutely nothing to upset him. The attack was completely unprovoked. He just simply felt like killing someone that night, and tragically, Ashlyn was the one who had matched and met with him. When the news broke about the murder and when Ethan's face was shown, another woman that he had met on Tinder came forward and said that she too had been talking to him. He also mentioned to the police that he had recently had thoughts of ending his own life, along with a desire to kidnap someone and to kill. Ethan was charged with first-degree murder without the possibility of bail. Those who worked with Ethan came forward and said that they had noticed a big change in his behaviour around the same time that he and the mother of his young daughter broke up a year prior to the murder of Ashlyn. They said he was usually a goofball type character who worked hard, but after this breakup, Ethan became a lot more withdrawn and seemed to be depressed. He began coming to work late and sometimes wouldn't even show up. One of Ethan's colleagues said, "He was the kind of young kid that always made us laugh. Then, the end of last year, it was just weird. He went from being goofy to someone that nobody wanted to be around." In the months following the breakup with his ex, Ethan had made some rather dark remarks about women, stating that he had a desire to harm them. He then had an altercation with a woman who he worked with. He was subsequently fired from his job. When those who had worked with Ethan discovered the news about the disturbing crime, they said that they weren't too surprised at what he had done. It seems like Ethan developed a strong hatred for women and just wanted to go out and kill a woman in some kind of twisted revenge for his previous relationship breaking down. Due to the recent events in the world, the trial has been postponed a couple of times, but in the most recent court hearing in November 17th, 2020, an evaluation report showed that Ethan was diagnosed with recurrent major depressive disorder with psychotic features, plus generalized anxiety disorder. At the time, he was taking medication for those illnesses. At first, Ethan tried to plead not guilty to the crime, but on the 29th of June 2021, he pleaded guilty to first-degree felony murder. The sentence is yet to be decided, but the judge overseeing the case has 3 options as to how Ethan should be sentenced. All 3 of these options include the penalty of 15 years to life in prison. With the premeditation that Ethan showed, it's likely that the sentence will be on the upper end of the scale, but the diagnosed mental health issues would also allow for a more lenient sentence. I shall do my best to post an update in the community post if more information comes available. Following the death of Ashlyn, her family came forward and spoke of her character. They said she had a passion in her heart for those with special needs, and that she took great pride in her work as a carer. She also planned on adopting a child with Down syndrome. Her family said in her obituary that she would have been a wonderful mother. They also spoke of her killer and described him as a monster. I do find these Tinder cases quite fascinating. Of course, many who go on the app use it to hook up with people for the night. It is certainly a risk to meet up with a total stranger and enter a room with them alone. That being said, I've also seen that a number of people have tried to victim blame Ashlyn to some degree, stating that she should have known better than to go home with a total stranger. I've seen these kinds of comments multiple times in other cases too, but it's too easy to say in hindsight that Ashlyn should not have gone back with him alone when she didn't know him too well on a personal level. In reality, many of you watching have or will probably do something similar at some time in your life. In this day and age, it's rather common and it's easy to let your guard down. Despite having plans to kill somebody that night, Ethan was able to make Ashlyn feel safe enough to go over to his home and lure her into a false state of security. But I hope, if anything, that these stories help raise awareness about the importance of being careful on social media and dating apps. Sadly, there are many people out there who wish to cause harm to undeserving, innocent people. And Tinder can be one of those many tools that give those people an opportunity to kill.